What's up, everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for clicking on me and my face and my channel. I'm a blind film critic, and I review films. Oh my god, I just lost somebody right there. I can feel it. Anyway, this is Infinity Pool. We're going to talk about it. It's on Hulu, and the reason we're going to talk about it is it does not have audio description. And for the first time, I'm going to give Hulu a pass because this is Neon. And Neon does not produce audio description at the rate at which they should. They're not known for it. It's one of the reasons why in my video from 2 days ago when I was listening to the audio description panel at the American Council of the Blind conference, I said we need to invite these studios and get them all in the same place, because these streaming services keep saying that they're asking for audio description. They're not, like any available audio description. Well, we know that there's audio description available. I kind of call bullshit on it because there's plenty of things where I feel like those reps were straight up lying about things because they didn't want to have conflict. And here is a case where I would have loved to be in the room so that we could actually say something and be like, Hulu, you don't have audio description on Infinity Pool. And then Hulu could be like, well, we asked, and I believe the studio behind that is Neon, then we can turn to Neon and be like, Neon, what's up with that? Well, where's the audio description for Infinity Pool? And actually force Neon to address why there's no audio description available for Infinity Pool. My friend who runs the podcast, The Dark Room, he was actually really interested in seeing this. I don't think he ever saw this in theaters with audio description. He's a big horror fan, and I just gave his podcast a shout out. So if you would like to listen to the Dark Room podcast, it is available on all platforms. I'm not sponsored by it, but I'm going to give Alex Howard and his buddy's podcast a shout out right here. And then I'm going to talk about why Infinity Pool is garbled nonsense for blind people. This film is bizarre. First of all, structurally, it's bizarre. It's Brandon Cronenberg, who I feel like you may not have heard that first name, and you might think I just had a stroke and just said the wrong first name. I did not. There is a Brandon Cronenberg, and yes, he is the son of David Cronenberg. So we're starting to get the next generation moving up through the ranks. And Brandon has directed before. Obviously not as many films as his dad. He's already starting to get sort of noticed. I don't know that he will ever be his dad, but he's obviously very heavily influenced by his dad. Both of them love body horror. I think it would have been hilarious if Brandon Cronenberg went in the complete opposite direction and started directing like Hallmark romantic comedies. Like that would have made my day. What did David Cronenberg suddenly start directing? Oh, he's got this new Christmas romantic comedy on Hallmark Channel. Just totally different direction. What is he directing? Oh, he's directing something on PBS Kids. He's got a new show on PBS Kids. Just something wildly different, but no, it's got to be the same thing. And this stars Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth. I'm going to be honest and say Mia Goth, even though I'm familiar with her from her work last year and all of her stuff, I don't follow her voice through a film. It doesn't help me knowing that Mia Goth is in a film. Mia Goth is a good actress. She is. I actually have yet to sit through a film of hers with audio description. I just realized that because I sat through X and Pearl without audio description. And so very weird. But I've yet to sit through a Mia Goth film, I think, with audio description. But she does do voices. She gets into these characters. And so because she has yet to have a consistent voice and something that I've seen, I know she plays 2 roles in X, but that wasn't enough for me to memorize her voice for this film. I had a hard time. So it's basically Alexander Skarsgård. I was like, oh, Alexander's in this scene. Alexander's not in this scene. Alexander's in this scene. Oh, that sounds like something is not going well for Alexander Skarsgård. I guess spoilers, but I don't really know what's a spoiler here because I don't really know that I understood the film. I have chosen to not know what this film is because that is, not everybody goes and looks up film descriptions online. You know, blind people, we just turn on a film. We should be able to. That is the thing. That is what I'm fighting for. That's why I do this channel, is so that we can turn on and watch a film and not have to worry about, like, oh my God, does it have audio description? You know, friends come over and they're like, oh, let's watch something. Oh, we want to watch this. And they shouldn't have to worry about whether or not it has audio description for us. Every time I watch something with my mom that doesn't have audio description, she's always like, oh, it doesn't have those voices for you. And I'm like, it's okay, Mom, I know you want to watch this. Let's just watch it. You know, like, I'm not going to constantly be that person that at every turn of the way, you know, is going to, like, make it so that everybody else can't have fun. You know, like, people should be able to have fun and have fun with me. We should be able to find that. And the best way to do that is to make sure everything's accessible for me. So the fact that things exist that are not accessible for me and other blind people pisses me off. So this already makes me angry. I'm already anti-Infinity Pool and anti-Neon. I would be anti-Hulu if I thought Neon had made audio description at any point for this. But asking Hulu to create audio description for an Infinity Pool, I mean, they can't even create audio description for some of their own stuff. They don't even have audio description on The Clearing, which is, like, billed as being a Hulu original. So, I mean, they're way behind. It took them months to put audio description on Wedding Season. So, I mean, it's just... Listen, we got to learn to walk before we can run. So, yeah. But Infinity Pool is unintelligible. It just is. It's a weird film. I had so many questions. I was like, where are these people conceptually, like, in the world, in the terms of, you know, I was like, why isn't anybody asking to go to the embassy? Why isn't anybody asking for lawyers? There were so many things at times in the film where I was like, this film just, like, breaks with reality for me. There are so many times, it's like one of those horror movies where people keep running up the stairs. Even in the scenes where I thought I knew what was going on, I always had a question. I was like, why are you doing this? What is going on here? There's a scene in the film where, I don't know, I think this is like Groundhog Day for Alexander Skarsgård. I think he just keeps dying over and over, and he can't find his fucking passport. That is what this film is about. It's Alexander Skarsgård's inability to find his passport. And because he keeps, like, reliving being murdered over and over. That is how I've interpreted Infinity Pool. I think it might also have something to do with cloning, so it might just be clones of Alexander Skarsgård being murdered repeatedly over and over. Also valid and totally possible. One of those two things is true. I don't know, because I didn't Wikipedia this film. But there's a scene where he's in jail and the guy's talking to him, and there was a car accident earlier. I guess he hit and killed somebody. I don't really fucking know. There's no audio description. So they're just sitting there talking, and he's like, he's really upset. He's like, oh, Alexander Skarsgård he's so concerned for his future. And this guy's basically telling him that he's fucked, and that in this country, you know, and he starts talking about, like, because of diplomatic relations and stuff, we have to do this a certain way. And it's like, diplomatic relations with what? What are you talking about? Like, have you not contacted your home country? What is this guy from your home country? What is going on here? Because, like, basically they're like, well, turns out what's going to happen here is the oldest child of the person you killed, he gets to kill you now. So that's how they do it here. And I need you to sign this piece of paper. I mean, I was like, what the fuck what is going on in this scene? Yeah, I'm sure this film makes sense to people who can see the whole thing and conceptually understand it. And, you know, can actually see, there's a lot of, you know, Brandon is obviously somebody who loves visuals. You know, it gives him an opportunity to, I'm sure, do very interesting things in terms of horror. So there are plenty of scenes where there's not really dialogue, or maybe there's just, like, screaming or moaning. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just, like, sounds, not actual, like, kind of dialogue. There are some dialogue scenes in here, though. Actually, I would argue that for the most part, I was able to follow this better than his father's Crimes of the Future. Crimes of the Future only had a couple of scenes with sustained dialogue but they didn't really connect the films for me together enough. a lot of it was just music. Here, I felt like there was more. There was almost a little bit more. Like, I could tell he has a wife. There seems to be like another couple. There was like a scene with like gunshots. I picked up on that. There was a scene where the guy got hit by a car. I picked up on that. I'm pretty certain Alexander Skarsgård dies multiple times in this film, which leads me to believe that he's either Groundhog Daying the same day over and over, or he's being cloned, or he's like some sort of weird twin situation where he has some sort of like weird family reunion where all 6 of him decided to go to this hotel somewhere, and and they're slowly being murdered one by one. One of those things is true, but he definitely dies multiple times in this film. Or maybe he fever dreams a lot, and he just keeps dreaming about dying. I have no idea. Any of those things could be an option, but he definitely dies a lot in this film. So, yes, something's going on. Something fishy. Something does not smell right in this film. There's that scene where, of course, they have to talk about an infinity pool because the film is named an infinity pool. I thought infinity pool, as I was watching the film and I realized what was happening, that he was dying multiple times, I was like, oh, like an infinity. Kind of, they didn't want to name it infinity loop. So because it's at a fancy resort, I just assumed they went with infinity pool as sort of like a cool nod to sort of what's happening. Like they're in this infinite loop of him dying over and over and over and over. And it's like, nope, there's an actual story about an infinity pool. Okay, then. I thought that was unnecessary, but Brandon apparently thought that was necessary. I don't think I needed that, to be totally honest. I don't think anybody needed that. I kind of like the fact that infinity pool felt representative of the theme that I thought was running through the film. However, I don't know what the theme is that's running through the film, so I could be wrong. Maybe this film is about giants in the sky. I have no fucking idea what this film is about because it has no audio description, because Neon refuses to make audio description for films. And I guess Brandon Cronenberg doesn't care about blind people enough to make sure his films are accessible. So there's a whole bunch of things running through here. I mean, I'd love to have a conversation with Brandon to make sure that his films are accessible for blind people. There's an entire Facebook group devoted not just to audio description, but audio description for horror films. There are so many blind people that love horror films that they've created their own group so that they can talk about audio description films with horror. Make your films accessible. They have an audience. I know you think they don't. I know you think blind people, we just like we just lose our vision. We go off into the woods somewhere and just, to die. Like a dog. Just, well, it's my time. I'm just going to walk off now. See you later. It's not what happens. We like to have fun, just like you. And as somebody who used to be able to see and has a film degree, yes, I also would have appreciated audio description. I'm sure there's a ton of gore in here. Unfortunately, the hilarity of Brandon Cronenberg is I didn't get any of that, bitch. None of that, because you didn't put audio description on your damn film. So basically, this film is gore-free. This film has nothing in it. This film is G-rated. It's not G-rated. There's a little bit of moaning in there. I don't know, PG-13 maybe? There's clearly some stuff where you're like, something sexual is going on. I don't think it would, even if we had like a blind MPAA that rated this without audio description, we'd still be like, I don't know, it's quite PG-13. I don't know. These sounds are making me uncomfortable. This is not for children. But you get what I'm saying. It's the whole point of Brandon Cronenberg obviously is horror. He likes to make horror films. His resume is horror films. I've heard this is a horror film. The funny thing is, I did listen to one review from one of my favorite film critics on YouTube, and I felt like the film he described was not the film that I got. Because the film that he described, he was obviously really trying to not spoil things here. I'm not sure I am spoiling anything because I'm not really sure I understood what was going on. So I don't really know what's happening, but I feel like I just described a different film than he described. So we definitely saw different films. That's all I can say about that. So again, I don't have a problem doing this, so we can have an open conversation about why we need audio description on everything. Describe everything, hashtag describe everything. I throw that down at the end of my videos. I'm here to talk about audio description and advance it and make sure it gets on films. So, sadly, I think you knew this was going to happen, but I'm giving Infinity Pool the grade of unwatchable. I'm pretty certain I don't know what this movie is about. So, I'm pretty certain that makes it unwatchable. If you can't follow the film, it's unwatchable. If you're just going to sit there and try so hard to piece together these little blips, and you're missing out on a horror movie, you're missing out on the gore, then why are we here? So thanks, Hulu, for hosting yet another lovely film without audio description. It's not really your fault this time, but if you tried harder, if this was an anomaly for you, then I wouldn't throw shade. But sadly, it's not an anomaly for Hulu. I feel like even if this film had audio description, it still wouldn't have it on Hulu. So, but I don't think Neon ever made it. So shame on you, Neon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you want to continue to listen to me jabber on about audio description, please subscribe. And also, I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org, where you can find a list of films that actually are audio described, and you can watch them at various places. On streaming services, it's great. It's amazing. You can also go to the ADNA.org, where if you are watching something that has audio description, you can see who's narrating it, or who worked on the audio description for that film or TV series. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will watch something else and review it for you, and see you guys on the other side.